Welcome back to America's Now. I'm Elaine Reyes. In a week's time, Peru's capital city will vote in a referendum which will decide the future of its mayor, Susana Villarán. For her opponents, Lima has come to a standstill under her administration, and they want her out before the end of her first term. But for her supporters, she's stood up to corruption, tackling the city's chaotic transportation system and other issues. Her fate lies in the hands of the city's 9 million citizens. Dan Collyns recently sat down with the mayor as well as those who oppose her. He files this report from Lima.
It feels like election time in Lima. The familiar juxtaposition of bold colours on the street. The simple slogans, yes or no. But there are no presidential candidates running for office in Peru. Just one mayor trying to keep her feet under the desk and a campaign to try to get her out from under it. Susana Villarán and her team of councillors here in Lima City Hall say they want to make big changes in the city, but they're changes that will take time. The trouble is, in this growing city, people are increasingly impatient for visible signs of progress, and many say they're not seeing it yet. But faced with a vote to remove her halfway through her 4-year term, the city's first elected woman leader told CCTV she would battle on.
We have been elected for 4 years. We are in the second, beginning the third, and the process must be done.
Idealistic, maybe naive in the dog-eat-dog world of Peruvian politics. What seems clear is she upset the status quo from the beginning. In 2 years, this 63-year-old human rights activist and former women's minister has split the city.
It will be a chaos in Lima, an absolutely chaos. Perhaps we will have 3 mayors in 2 years, and everything will stop.
But her critics charge she is creating the chaos, and that it's not about politics, but her poor administration.
Nosotros hemos elegido alcaldes para que hagan obras metropolitanas, obras de ciudad, gran obra. Esta señora pues no ha hecho absolutamente nada. Solamente son palabras y palabras y palabras. Y yo creo que esa es la razón por la cual va a ser inevitablemente revocada.
Gutierrez is the face of the C, or anti-Villarán campaign. Villarán supporters accuse Gutierrez of being a mere frontman for her predecessor, Luis Castañeda, who left office with high approval after building hundreds of stairways in the city's outlying hillsides. Villarán sought corruption charges against Castañeda. The former mayor is alleged to have diverted $10 million in public funds into a phantom company. No charges have been brought. Although Villarán insists she's invested more in infrastructure than Castañeda, her opponents have capitalized on the perceived lack of public sector construction.
En vez de esperar 2 años y no hacer nada, porque en 2 años no hizo nada, recién al tercer año se pone a hacer lo que son las obras, y eso no es justo para la ciudad, para los pobladores.
Y yo creo que también va a sentar un precedente para todos aquellos alcaldes futuros que entren con un mejor plan de gobierno, con gente capacitada, con gente con experiencia en gestión pública.
Villarán vowed to take on the rackets and cartels that operate the much maligned transport system. Ramshackle buses known as combis weave across lanes of traffic, belching black diesel fumes and stopping wherever they like. And there's one taxi for every 30 inhabitants, further clogging up the city's arteries.
It is really a necessity for a city like Lima in this time, after 3 decades of absolutely informality and disorder and chaos, to put some order and to find a way to get out from that, because the pollution, because the accidents, because of the traffic, which is impossible in Lima and takes a lot of your time, a lot of your money, when you need to have a better life, a better quality of life.
But it's not made her popular with the estimated 70% of Lima residents who work in the informal sector, neither paying tax nor receiving benefits. Her biggest challenge was relocating Lima's wholesale parada market. Crime-ridden and congested, Villarán also saw the parada as a disaster waiting to happen in the event of a fire or earthquake. But many stallholders opposed the move due to high rent and small space. And their eviction unleashed violence as vendors hired thugs to fight the police. The riots killed 4 and injured dozens. Here, they savagely beat an officer who fell from his horse.
I took the risk because I think that we are not coming here to make one term and then to prepare to another and then to use it as a, how do you say in English, a trampoline for the presidency. And this is another way to be a politician. I didn't came to politics to be like that.
Lima is home to 1/3 of Peruvians and produces half the country's GDP in South America's fastest growing economy. But at least 1 million residents still lack basic services like water and electricity on the city's peripheries. Poorer neighbourhoods like this are the battleground for campaigners trying to win floating voters. It's a tight race, and a few thousand votes, either for or against the recall, could prove decisive. Here, building means votes. Politician Anel Townsend is on the campaign trail saying no to the recall.
Since Susana Villarán was elected, there was a bad campaign against her, and the people from the sea began to fill signatures against her to withdraw her from being mayor. And this was before she began.
Populist campaigns gain easy ground in these humble surroundings, where Townsend says the residents are often poorly informed.
The power of information is getting to the households, and people is now knowing about the work Susana has done.
Villarán accepts poor communication has been a thorn in her side, but as the prospect of being recalled teeters above her head, she says she doesn't have regrets.
In this moment of truth, when the people will decide, if they decide to go on, perhaps I will make some changes in the way to do things, but not in the orientation of changes and reforms.
The time, energy and money thrown into the recall campaign has raised big questions over how democratic an institution it really is. For daring to be different, for daring to shake up the status quo, Susana Villarán just might be vindicated after this process. Or she could be ousted from Peru's second most important public office, along with 39 councillors, leaving a power vacuum at the top. Lima must decide.
Our thanks to Dan Collyns for that report from Lima, Peru. That brings us to the conclusion of our broadcast this week. You can find us on the web at cctv-america.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at cctv-america.com. Stay tuned to CCTV for continuing coverage of the upcoming Venezuelan elections. And please join us again next week for another edition of America's Now. See you then.